Under the glittering lights of Hollywood, where every move is calculated and every appearance scrutinized, a single moment can shift the narrative of a celebrity's career in an instant. That moment arrived like a thunderclap at the red carpet premiere of Weapons in Los Angeles, a film that had already stirred anticipation for months, when award-winning actress Julia Garner was seen visibly enraged, turning heads not for her role in the film, but for what she did just steps away from the photographer's pit. Eyewitnesses watched in stunned disbelief as Julia confronted none other than Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, who had unexpectedly appeared at the event. The shock wasn't merely in Meghan's presence. It was in Julia's reaction, one of unfiltered fury and outright rejection. Cameras rolled, security flinched, and before the night screening had even begun, a different kind of premiere took over the headlines. Why was Meghan there? Was she invited? Or was this an audacious attempt to reclaim her waning spotlight in Hollywood? And perhaps the bigger question: what drove Julia Garner, usually poised and professional, to break that perfect celebrity facade and physically eject Meghan in front of a sea of stunned guests and flashing cameras? This isn't just a tale of a red carpet confrontation. It's about deeper tensions bubbling beneath the surface, about clout, boundaries, unspoken rivalries, and the calculated theater of fame. Meghan Markle, once the darling of both the press and the monarchy, has been embroiled in one controversy after another. But this event, a public rejection in the heart of Hollywood, feels different. It wasn't just another headline. It was personal. It was explosive. And it may have marked a turning point in how both Hollywood and the public perceive her. Stay with us, because as we unfold this story, you'll discover the layers that most media outlets won't show you. The whispers from behind the velvet ropes, the off-the-record murmurs from insiders, and what this chaotic moment really reveals about two powerful women whose paths should never have crossed, but did, spectacularly. The air outside the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard was electric. A mix of flashing bulbs, couture gowns, sleek tuxedos, and excited murmurs buzzed through the tightly packed crowd. It was the long-anticipated premiere of Weapons, the latest psychological thriller starring Julia Garner, an actress known not only for her piercing performances but also her rare, composed presence on the red carpet. The night was meant to be hers, until it wasn't. Just after 7:40 p.m., as Julia was finishing her round of press interviews and making her way toward the private VIP entrance, the atmosphere shifted. You could almost feel it in the way conversations halted and camera lenses abruptly swiveled to the far left of the carpet. Meghan Markle had arrived. But there was no official announcement, no PR handler ushering her in, no film executives greeting her at the velvet rope. Instead, she stepped out of a black SUV unannounced, flanked by a single aide. Dressed in a floor-length off-shoulder black gown with a dramatic train, Meghan posed quickly, almost instinctively, in front of the photo wall, smiling as cameras clicked. But this wasn't a stop on the schedule, and it didn't take long for the chaos to begin. Julia Garner, already halfway through greeting her castmates, paused mid-stride. Her expression changed from neutral to visibly confused, then to unmistakable anger. According to multiple eyewitnesses, including an entertainment journalist stationed near the carpet entrance, Julia immediately turned and walked with purpose toward Meghan, who at that moment was attempting to mingle near a cluster of studio heads and fellow actors. What followed was not subtle. "You weren't invited," Julia reportedly said, loud enough for at least a dozen guests to hear. Her voice was sharp, not yelling, but cutting through the din with surgical precision. Meghan, taken aback, tried to explain herself. According to one onlooker, she said something about a miscommunication or that she was told by someone on the team it was fine. But Julia wasn't having it. Her voice rose slightly, and her hand motioned firmly toward the exit. That was when security closed in. "Miss Garner has asked that Ms. Markle be removed," one suited security officer was overheard saying into his earpiece. Moments later, the Duchess was being gently but firmly ushered away from the carpet and into the shadows behind the barricade. Cameras caught every second. Hollywood had seen scandals, walkouts, even wardrobe malfunctions. But it had never seen this, a power play so raw, so unscripted, It left A-listers frozen in place, unsure whether to look away or lean in closer. And just like that, what was meant to be a triumphant night for Julia Garner became something far more explosive. To understand the firestorm ignited on the red carpet, we have to rewind just a few minutes before the confrontation. Meghan Markle's entrance wasn't just surprising, it was baffling. Unlike other A-listers who arrived with full entourages, trailed by stylists and publicists flashing laminated credentials, Meghan appeared as if materializing out of thin air. No press announcement, no confirmation from the studio, just her, an assistant, and a quiet but deliberate glide down the edge of the red carpet. Some who witnessed her arrival say it felt off. Not rushed, not panicked, but purposeful. She didn't check in at the designated guest table. She didn't coordinate with handlers. Instead, she walked with the self-assured grace of someone who knew exactly how to play a red carpet, greeting photographers with subtle nods and a small, curated smile. Her gown, a jet-black silhouette with a sharp neckline, was eerily similar in tone to Julia Garner's own ensemble that evening, prompting some to whisper about the deliberate nature of the choice. But here's where things get interesting. Multiple entertainment reporters later revealed that there had been no indication Meghan would be attending. Her name wasn't on any public or private guest list. Press releases circulated earlier that week included confirmations for stars like Pedro Pascal, Natalie Dyer, and Christopher Abbott, but not Meghan. One insider claimed that a junior publicist was told last minute that a royal guest might drop by, but assumed it was a publicity stunt or joke. That same publicist allegedly shrugged it off, only to find herself frozen in place when Meghan really did show up, trailing the edges of the red carpet like a scene out of a dream or nightmare, depending on whom you ask. Some observers pointed to what looked like a strategically placed TMZ photographer lingering far from the main media pit. When the confrontation began, that very lens was already rolling. Coincidence? Not everyone thought so. Conspiracy theories exploded online almost immediately after footage leaked. Was Meghan trying to hijack the moment? Was this a deliberate attempt to remind Hollywood she was still a player, or worse, a queenmaker? Meghan has always been shrewd when it comes to optics, said one Hollywood PR expert who asked to remain anonymous. She knows where the cameras are. She knows how to draw attention. That's not accidental. That's rehearsed. Whether she expected a warm welcome or miscalculated her reception, one thing was clear. Meghan's unannounced appearance was not just unexpected. It was disruptive. And in an industry where events are choreographed to the second, her rogue arrival felt less like an innocent misstep and more like a declaration. For anyone familiar with Julia Garner, her public reaction that night came as a shock. Known for her meticulous professionalism and poised, almost enigmatic demeanor, Julia has long avoided red carpet drama. She rarely comments on feuds, rarely posts anything remotely controversial, and has built her career on talent rather than tabloid fodder. So when she stormed across the premiere venue with the precision of someone who had seen one too many lines crossed, it wasn't a random outburst. It was the snapping of a very deliberate boundary. What most people didn't see was the storm that had been brewing long before Meghan's unexpected appearance. According to multiple industry insiders, Julia and Meghan's tension didn't begin that night. It had roots, quiet, whispered stories passed among stylists, agents, and industry assistants. In one particular instance a few months back, Julia and Meghan reportedly shared the same private lounge at a luxury fashion event in New York. Meghan, according to a high-level stylist present at the time, monopolized the press access and was not exactly gracious with her fellow attendees. Julia, who had been quietly preparing for a high-profile panel, was said to have left the event early, visibly irritated. It wasn't a catfight. It was professional disapproval, said the stylist. Julia sees herself as an artist. She's worked for everything she's got. I don't think she has time for social climbers. Fast forward to the Weapons premiere, and you begin to understand the depth behind Julia's reaction. This wasn't just about a surprise guest. This was about territory, artistic, personal, and symbolic. Julia had spent 2 years working on this film, immersing herself in a psychologically grueling role that critics were already calling Oscar bait. This premiere was the culmination of that effort. The last thing she needed was someone redirecting the spotlight, especially someone with a controversial reputation and no apparent connection to the project. Her reaction was immediate and laser-focused. "No one upstages the lead at her own premiere," said a producer who witnessed the scene from inside the press tent. Julia's voice didn't shake. She didn't hesitate. She was done playing polite. And maybe that's why her anger struck such a chord. It wasn't about drama, it was about dignity. In a town where celebrity PR stunts are normalized and often forgiven, Julia's refusal to stay silent came across not as petty, but powerful. She wasn't defending just the integrity of the premiere. She was defending the boundaries of professionalism. For Meghan, the move might have seemed like just another public appearance. For Julia, it was the final straw in a series of subtle provocations. And unlike so many others in Hollywood, she chose not to bite her tongue. In Hollywood, guest lists are sacred. Not only do they determine who gets access to red carpets and VIP lounges, but they also serve as a form of social currency, a subtle ranking system of who's relevant, who's in favor, and who's not. So when Meghan Markle showed up unannounced at the premiere of Weapons, the first question on everyone's lips wasn't just, why is she here? It was she even invited? And the answer, according to multiple sources close to the production team, was a resounding no. Shortly after the red carpet drama exploded online, statements began to trickle out from the film studio reps. One executive, speaking on background, confirmed to a major entertainment outlet that Meghan's name was not on the master list, the secondary list, or even the overflow list. That's Hollywood speak for, she wasn't supposed to be there. Another insider, a veteran publicist familiar with the film's planning, revealed that Julia Garner herself had approved the final guest list, and no one of Meghan's profile was ever mentioned or requested. So how did Meghan manage to slip in? Here's where it gets murky. A junior assistant who had been working under the premiere's event coordinator claimed in a now-deleted Reddit post that someone using Meghan's name called ahead 2 days before the event, allegedly referencing a personal relationship with one of the film's investors. The coordinator, unfamiliar with the voice, didn't flag the request, but also didn't authorize it. Whether it was a miscommunication or an intentional bypass, the request apparently fell through the cracks, until Meghan appeared in person, treating the carpet as if she had every right to be there. Even more damning? A seating chart for the post-screening reception leaked later that night, showing table placements for cast, producers, media, and select VIPs. Meghan's name appeared nowhere. Her presence was never cleared. A Sony Pictures representative told one outlet. This was an extremely high-security, invite-only event. But some close to Meghan paint a different picture. An anonymous friend of the Duchess reportedly told Page 6 that Meghan had received verbal confirmation from someone associated with the event, and had no reason to believe she wasn't welcome. The friend also suggested that the Duchess had wanted to show her support for Julia Garner, claiming they had met once at a charity gala and got along well. If that's true, it raises an awkward question. Did Meghan misunderstand a casual interaction as an open door? Or did she knowingly overstep in the hopes of reviving her image among Hollywood's elite? Whether a calculated PR play or a genuine misstep, the result was the same. Her name wasn't on the list. And in Hollywood, that's more than a snub. It's a wall. One she boldly chose to climb, but forgot to ask who built it.